Hello, this is I Do Damage and welcome back to the channel. In this Diablo 2 Resurrected video, I want to talk to you about the Druid. I've played 3 Druids and I'm currently working on my 4th. I successfully beat all of the beta content, which is pretty limited. It's just Act 1 and 2, and then I've completed Act 1 3 times. I'll explain here in a little bit why that happened and how that went down. I'm also currently working on my 4th Druid, really just kind of preparing for September 23rd. I don't even know if I'm going to play Druid, man. I'm just going into the game totally pretty much blind as if it's my first time playing, because it pretty much is. And it's really refreshing just digging into the game and getting a fresh experience. So I hope that this video can provide some insight and perspective from a new Diablo 2 player. My very first Diablo 2 resurrected character was a Druid. I really did zero research. I went in totally blind. And I thought, well, I haven't played a Druid in a Diablo game, so let's see what it's like. And I gotta say, I really honestly loved the elemental tree. That was my very first skill tree to play, very first Druid, so maybe that's why I like it so much. But the visual effects on your Molten Boulder and your Firestorm abilities are super awesome. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the skill tree and kind of some thoughts and some things that I learned from playing. Now, keep in mind, with the Diablo 2 Early Access Beta, we really only have, like I said, limited access to the first 2 acts. With that in mind, I did not do tomb runs and grind XP to level up to get some of these later skills. However, I did finish Act 2, and that was really my goal, was to test the skills up to that point. So I know that some people have been doing those tomb runs and grinding to level 30. Congrats to John Woo, shout out to you. I know you're one of the dudes that did that and did the whirlwind bar. Looks sick, man. But yeah, over here on the Elemental Druid, I tried out Firestorm. And one thing I learned on Diablo 2, and if you're a Diablo 2 veteran, you probably already know this, but it seems to me that you really want to have kind of a, more expensive skill to cast, kind of as like a spender. You can see the Molten Boulder, which was my primary damage dealer, costs 3 times the amount of mana as Firestorm does. I am going to be switching over here in the video to use my controller. If you saw my Diablo 2 beta thoughts on the beta, you'll understand why. And we hit 1,000 views on that video. That's crazy. Thank you guys. So this is what I wanted to show off here. On this Druid, as I mentioned, I started off going with Firestorm. That was my very first ability that I used. And then once I checked out a little bit of the skill trees, I think I picked up the Raven just to kind of passively have it. I wasn't planning a build or anything at this point, and it just really kind of happened this way. Once I unlocked the Molten Boulder, that was for sure my next skill to get because it looks really, really cool. Let's see if I can go ahead and get to an area I can show the ability. The way they've redone it here and resurrected this skill looks really great on this game. And man, look at when I'm in this dungeon, look at the lighting effects as well on this game. The details are so good. Yeah, here's that boulder ability. And then when it collides with enemies, it leaves an AoE at the end of the trail. Super fun skill. It's probably not the best skill in the game, but I messed around with Fissure as well. And this one seemed to not hit a whole lot unless if I had multiple stacks of it. And also it has a 2-second cooldown with the ability as well. I don't know. I just liked the boulder ability overall. It just seemed more responsive and to hit more enemies. Someone had told me on the stream that for Fissure to work, the monsters have to move in that AoE. I don't know if that's true. If anyone can confirm, that would be good information to have, so appreciate that. So yeah, that was pretty much my skills I used early game was the Firestorm and Boulder. I primarily would just spam Boulder until I got a little bit lower on mana, and then I would switch over to Firestorm. Once I was able to unlock Twister, though, this was really a game changer. I really loved the Twister ability. It just felt so fluid and responsive. I loved casting my Boulder and then spamming my Twisters in there and just kind of doing that. It just felt, I don't know, I think the Twisters look sweet, and yeah, they're really fun to use. Last comments here on the Elemental Tree is the Cyclone Armor. I didn't really test it out. I'm sure it definitely is great in certain situations since it shields you from elemental damage or fire, cold, and lightning. I did use Arctic Blast for a little bit, but at the end of the day, I was not super impressed with the ability. I just like Twister more. And then last thing to note here, this was on Druid number 1. Last thing to note here was I did go into the Summoner tree, and I learned a lot from this character, right? You can see I invested 5 points into Oak Sage, which, it's a nice aura spirit that gives you more health, and that's really cool. However, I feel like I should have invested those 5 points over into either Firestorm or, Twisters to really kind of ramp up those damaging abilities. Because it seems like on this game, you don't need to have a massive array of abilities. You just need to have, plenty of abilities that are leveled up enough to really be effective as you progress. And then I also messed with the Wolf and Raven that you can see here. Nothing super crazy. We'll talk about those later on in the video. After playing the Elemental Druid, I was kind of excited to check out the shape-shifting tree. The one I'm going to be showing you here in the video, this is actually a respec I did just for the recording of this video. And the fact of the matter is, my shape-shifting druid, I luckily got carried through Act 1, and we did manage to kill Andariel. It was very, very tedious and punishing. If you were there for the stream, you know what I'm talking about, but I did want to talk about it briefly, and really what happened was I got very annoyed because all of my hits were missing. I just had too low of dexterity. Another point that I learned, I had a hit rate of 75%. I know it says 95% here because I respect just for this video, but yeah, the actual druid I played had a 75% hit chance, and I would miss 4 or 5 hits in a row. And it actually made me really, I raged a little bit and just deleted the character. I stripped all the gear and everything off him first, but I did delete that druid, so that's why we're going to be using this one to talk about here in the video. So now that we got that out of the way, when I very first leveled up, I knew that I wanted to be a werewolf, werebear, something like that. Just, be a shapeshifter, it's a druid, why not? So the werewolf right out of the gate was pretty fun, to be honest with you. I thought the form looked pretty cool, but it definitely wasn't as cool as the bear form. So here's the werewolf form if you haven't played or if you didn't play the beta. That's what it looks like. Pretty sweet, pretty cool. But, you're limited in your attacks when you're in shapeshifting. You're pretty much melee. At least from what I've played so far. I'm sure there's going to be, more to the build, obviously. I've just played a very, very bite-sized chunk of the game, but that's the werewolf form. And once I went down into here, and I think it'd be level 6 to get the bear form, this looks so cool to me. I mean, you pretty much, you look like Smokey the Bear. I like, for real, dude. I think it looks so cool. And man, I'm telling you, when you're out fighting some of the monsters, you're like bigger than some of the other dudes. And then when you see your enormous hand swipe and miss, it's like, I don't know, man. It just really threw me off because my hand would be like the size of the monster I was fighting. And I'm like, how the heck could I miss that? But anyway, it just seemed a little bit weird. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it's because of the low dexterity there. I was really excited when I was playing this Shapeshifter Druid to unlock the Maul ability, just so I could have an ability while I was in my animal form. Otherwise, it's just your basic attacking, and that's all it really is. One other thing to point out here is you have a passive node that increases the duration and health of your forms, your werewolf and werebear forms. Definitely worth investing into. I unlocked Feral Rage and also the Rabies. These seemed really cool. And, I'm definitely going to do another playthrough of the Shapeshifting Druid when the game comes out. And I can invest more into it. It seemed like the shape-shifting tree is very gear dependent and, kind of a more difficult build to play. So yeah, I'm totally looking forward to it. But just in the beta and the little bit I played, once I got that Maul and saw that the skill never hit any enemies, I just got so annoyed. But yeah, there's some really cool abilities in here just looking through it that I can't wait to test out when the game comes out, man. I'm really excited for it. Shockwave looks awesome. Spreading around this rabies fury. I mean, I'm so excited for this game to come out on September 23rd. There's so many builds and things that I want to try. But yeah, that was Druid number 2, the shapeshifting tree. It really was not a huge fan, but I am looking forward to the future and really trying to make it work. So my third Druid, and this is probably one of my favorite builds that I played of the Druid, very close in comparison to the Elemental. I really loved the Raven ability. The Ravens did attack pretty slow, but you can get up to 5 of them out, and probably more than that with gear. I haven't found anything like that, but I'm kind of guessing. And the poison creeper here, what this is it's a vine and it spreads disease and deals damage. Now, I thought that when I very first unlocked the skill, I thought maybe it would just be a vine that I would have to summon out and then it would just be stationary there and kind of. No, it actually follows you around. This skill is so good. It just follows you around and does passive damage. That's why I did invest pretty heavily into this ability, just literally because it's passive damage and was kind of doing the work for me. It felt really great to use. And yeah, I was shocked that it followed me around. And then later on in the tree here, you can get Carrion Vine, and this one will eat corpses. So once you've killed some enemies, you can swap your vine over to this one that kind of heals you. But the thing here, and I guess I wasn't really surprised, is when I use that, it actually will switch the vines. You don't get two different vines. It just this becomes a healing variant pretty much. We also messed around with, we talked about the Raven here. We also messed around, I picked up the Oak Sage just for that little bit of life potential there. But, a big thing I learned from this one, and I carried it over to my next run through, was, yeah, it's a cool spirit pet to have for that, that buff for your max life. But if you don't invest points into it, the thing's not going to stay alive that often, and you'll have to be continually resummoning it. So I don't know, my next playthrough, I might just totally ignore this one, kind of based on my build. Especially if we're going for a purely offensive build, I'll probably just skip it all together and invest more points over into my Vine or one of my other summons. We also unlocked Spirit Wolf here. This is, it's a Spirit Wolf. Seemed to not stay alive very long. And once we unlocked Dire Wolf, this it changed a little bit, but I still had to summon him pretty frequently. It seemed to be dead very, very often. I didn't invest many points into it. Maybe you can get more than one wolf out. It looks like you can if you invest into it. So I don't know. Maybe when the game comes out, we'll do another summoner. I really liked the summoning tree on Druid. Honestly, I think I could see myself definitely investing more time into it. So yeah, that was Druid number 3. I think my favorite part of this build was just remembering to have all of my pets out at the same time. It just it was nice trying to keep up on that, and it really drives home the point of having the UI like it is right now on the controller, where I can see all of my summons instead of, if I'm using the keyboard mouse, I have to memorize all of my summons or be constantly scrolling through, and it's just a little bit annoying. That's why I like the controller so much more, is I can just see all of my skills there. That was pretty much my first 20, maybe 30 hours of the early access beta of Diablo 2 Resurrected. Was those 3 druid builds, the elemental, the shapeshifter, and then the summoning tree. I am working on a 4th and 5th druid currently, just kind of here and there as my kids allow me to play. I'm waiting for them to start school so I can hopefully jump in and get more videos and streams out to you guys. Oh, man, Diablo 2 Resurrected. I haven't felt this way about a game since I was a kid, probably back since I very first was introduced to World of Warcraft. It's a wonderful feeling. I was actually trying to tell my wife, explain to her about how addicted I'm going to be to this game when it comes out on the 23rd of September. So I really hope you enjoyed this video and kind of this look into the Druid and my experience with the Druid and my thoughts on the class and everything so far. Definitely looking forward to, going through all the acts on all the difficulties and really kind of seeing what we can do with all of them, especially that shapeshifter. I feel like the other 2 builds, they're going to perform pretty well. Trust me, I've already been told by you guys that, the Necro Summoner is way better than the Druid. I totally believe you, and that's fine. I'm not looking for the meta or anything like that. I'm just looking for things that I find fun, and really I'm discovering the game for the first time for myself. It's a really refreshing and exciting and just awesome thing to experience. So I hope I get to share that experience with you guys, and I hope it's something that you guys enjoy watching. If you enjoyed this video and all the content on the channel, make sure you like, subscribe, and ring that bell. Make sure you have notifications set to all so you get notified when I post new videos and when I go live. We cover a lot of different things on the channel, not just Diablo, not just action RPGs, but MMORPGs as well. I've even streamed some racing games. I mean, I'm all around just a dude that likes to play video games, and I really sincerely hope you enjoy the content here on the YouTube channel. Make sure to check out some of these videos over here or over here, wherever they are. Make sure you check them out. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.